All right. So tell us, tell us your name.
My name is Carol.
And tell us about your dogs. What were they like before training?
Okay, we have 2 one-year-old Shih Tzu, brother and sister. We got one at 8 weeks, and the second one came in at about 6 months. I was doing some initial training with Belle, who was the one we got at 8 weeks, and she was responding well to obedience training. And then when we added Finn at 6 months, it was becoming very difficult. We also have a third dog. But the thing was, they would play with each other. At first, we thought that was great because they were racing all over the house and everything and burning off energy. But neither one would then respond, and trying to train was being really difficult. And then on leash, Finn started to develop. He was just very reactionary to people, bikes, the scooters, cars. He'd be barking out of windows all the time at anything that was moving out there.
And you guys live in a very busy area.
We live in a very busy area, yeah.
Yeah.
So that, the stress of that, our home was becoming extremely stressful for my husband and I. And that's when we thought we needed to pursue training.
So how'd you hear about Valor K9 Academy?
Honestly, I just did a Google search.
Yeah.
And so I was reading people's testimonials that they had written out there, and everybody was just saying how amazing it was. I had one of my sisters who had a couple of Frenchies, bulldogs. They had used a board and train program in Michigan, and they were so pleased with what they'd gone through. So I had talked with her about it, sort of the pricing, because you go, oh, it seems really expensive. It was really consistent with what she had in Michigan. But the idea of just immersing the dogs one at a time in a program to get that base, so that when we got them back, we had a base to work with. And that's what really sold me on the board and train. I work, so I just didn't really have that amount of time to address 2 young dogs.
Yeah. So tell me about the board and train process with us, dropping them off, getting updates. How was that for you?
It was great. I was initially, worried. I read through the paperwork and, caution against reaching out constantly. And again, if, respecting that if you guys are giving me updates or whatever, that you're not then spending the time on what you have to do. So my husband and I were very supportive of following that. I'm not the best Facebook person, but once I understood you guys were posting, photos and stuff. And initially Candace was sending me photos. But then once I was able to get pinged with a Facebook thing, then I could really follow, in particular, Finn, through he was on a 4-week train. So that was great, being able to see that. And again, the concerns of anybody who's worried about whether or not their dog is being loved or cared for or whatever, certainly we had those same concerns. But after that 1 week follow-up, we did like a 10-day follow-up with Bella in a 3-week program, and then 2 weeks in, we saw Finn, the way the dogs reacted to first Candace and then to you, it just alleviated any concerns we had. It was obvious that the dogs, you were putting them through you're putting them through a training situation, but the dogs had bonded with you, and that was very clear to us. So we were very comfortable then knowing that you would take care of them like you would take care of your own dogs.
Cool.
Without the bowl of raw stuff.
No raw food.
No,
okay. So tell me kind of now, after they're done with their board and train, what are the results? Are you happy?
Oh, extremely. Belle came home 4 weeks ago when we dropped Finn off, and she's just so responsive when we are giving her commands. She'll quiet down. Again, if she starts to get really hyper, then she will quiet down. Again, we put a leash on her. So she's been great. We still have to work with her. It was still a base level, and we understand that we have to continue to get those commands. Not like they go in one way and they do come out it's like darn near perfect. But I would say that the training's not over at that point. Right. That we have to continue to work to make sure that that is ingrained with them for life, as opposed to they went to summer camp and then they fell back to their ways, which she tried to do. I mean, when we first brought her home, and you cautioned that she was pushing it. When she first got into the house, she was doing a lot of things she did initially, grabbing shoes and running around. But again, it was that you had said she'll get silly at times, and being able to recognize it's not her being cute. That really is her backsliding into things that we didn't like. And so both my husband and I made sure that we were correcting that situation. We still love her and play with her, but on our own terms, as opposed to her just doing what she wants and running around and grabbing shoes constantly. So.
Yeah. And what about Finn?
So Finn comes home today, and he was so reactive. It was sad. He seemed afraid of everything, barked at everything, foamed at the mouth, threw up in the car. It was difficult because what we thought was now, we've got Belle who went through training and she'll be able to be out in public with us, but he would never get there. And if we could at least just get him to some sort of level where, hopefully we knew he'd be better than he was. But what I really love in seeing him today, one, is how much more calm he's more calm than Belle, which was a surprise to me. And that he just seems so comfortable. So there's not all this panting, yawning, all these anxiety, signs of anxiety. He's so comfortable with himself. And that, one, as his owner, you feel wonderful that he's so comfortable, but also to think of the world that gets opened up to him because he is comfortable, and he will go with me to places that he wouldn't have been able to. So that's been huge, just seeing him today.
Yeah. And how did he do around people and dogs? And
he did great. It was, again, just a surprise because he was snarling and barking and lunging at cars that were driving by. And so to see the FedEx truck was the first thing that went by. And he didn't even, I don't even think he glanced at it. And then as people went by, little kids on our walk, we actually put ourselves in the path of these little children, that he would be a snarling mess. He wanted affection. So I never thought he was a mean dog. And I think when I first called you, I said, I think he's just so fearful, as opposed to that he really is mean-spirited. And so for him to be able to have little toddlers, one particularly little, and just interact with him was just really nice, because it is what he wants. And he could just be so calm through it. It was, again, probably better than Belle was doing that. So I'll have to keep working with her on not hesitating when she's allowed to interact with people. No, I was afraid too. So anybody that's watching this that said, how do I really know that they're taking care of? What if something happens to my dog? One, I have every reason to believe you would call me immediately if something happened. You gained our trust and confidence immediately. First Courtney, we worked with Courtney and then Candace, through different things going on, and then eventually you. And every single one of you gave us confidence. One, that you knew what you were doing. Two, that you're good-hearted people and our dogs are going to be well cared for, but that you also were going to be training them. And some of the things you would do that we would say, oh, is that too harsh? And not that you're beating my dog, but what I mean is that you would lay down and continue to sort of withhold affection or something until they were doing it right. I think that's really hard on owners if you haven't trained a lot of dogs. I think that learning to withhold something until they've done it right, and that is a praise and a sign that they've done it right. So I think we've learned that lesson too, is no, if it's expected and you're saying it, it really needs to be done. And that we're way better. Love my dogs. But I didn't want him jumping up on people. Certainly couldn't have him snarling at people, but people coming in and him jumping up, that we just couldn't, and he's little, and that still was not going to work for us. But
awesome. Well, thank you very much.
I appreciate thank you for everything that you've done. And welcome. So see what you can do with that. And
absolutely.
But I was afraid, and if my sister hadn't gone through it, I don't know how I would have felt about a board and train. But seeing their dogs and how well that was, and again, they were people that worked a lot of hours and couldn't train, and then they could bring them into their workplace once those dogs were trained. But I don't know how I would have felt either about it. And now I would just encourage I mean, if you don't have the time or the level of commitment, that it is a way to get that base established, and then you just keep working with the dog.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Thank you very much.
oh, you're so welcome.